creatures that appear to be human, except they look Asian, and they smell like sulfur or ozone. They wear dark glasses, black suits, and Homburg hats. And they talk with a kind of strange metallic quality. And they often threaten people who are talking about UFOs. They tell them you'll lose your job, you'll be ridiculed, the government will come and take you away, whatever it might be. And they drive off in their Cadillacs, which are invariably reported to be absolutely silent. Even though they look like a 1958 Caddy, they don't make any noise, just like that, What is the physical appearance of these beings? Well, I've already alluded to this first kind. This is the supposed gray alien, which come, they say, from Zeta Reticuli. And these are really disgusting little creatures. They run from 3 to 4 feet tall. They smell like sulfur or feces. They walk kind of monkey-like. They don't seem to have any speech. They communicate entirely by telepathy. They don't have any, they often are running around without clothes on. Or if they wear clothes, they wear kind of a skin-tight silver lame jumpsuit. And you know what the insignia they wear is it? On it? It's like a staff with a serpent on it. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, they normally don't appear to have any external genitalia, nor do they appear to eat. Reports we've had is that they've been seen, they have like these big pools of blood, like a big vat of blood or a big vat of some green stuff like chlorophyll, and they stick their fingers in it and, see, Mork isn't the only one that eats like that. You see, where do they get this stuff? They put this stuff on TV, but, these are the ones that are also most commonly seen in abductions. They're the ones that are doing all of the legwork. The second kind of alien. These are known as the Nordics, the blondes, or the Dodds from outer space. And these look idealized blonde humans. Very, very beautiful, very, very handsome, taller than normal, but not like gigantically tall. And they are supposedly from the constellation Lyra. And they are said to be from Space Command. And they're the good guys. They're here to help us, protect us from the little gray guys. This is the story out there in UFO land. The problem is that the prime directive doesn't allow them to help us, really. They can just sort of stand around and give us advice, but they can't really do anything. So, okay. Anyway, but you never see them typically involved in abduction scenarios. Quite often, they're the ones that actually walk around in broad daylight and appear quite normal, except they unfortunately tend to wear silver lame jumpsuits, which sort of makes them stand out a little. But otherwise, they look perfectly human. In fact, they look too perfectly human. Then we have the dread men in black. I've already kind of described these, so I'm not going to go into it. But I just want to tell you that they don't look like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. The movies those movies are based on a comic book. And, there's just tiny shreds of truth, but most of it is just, total comedy for the sake of, the movie-going public. But again, this is intended to acclimate people, to familiarize people. So if you see someone coming up to you, dressed like that, you're, oh, wow, cool, it's Will Smith, whatever. Then we have the reptilians. These supposedly come from the constellation Draco. And as some of you may know, Draco is the Latin word for dragon. It's the dragon that's in the heavens. These are carnivorous, cannibalistic, and 7 feet tall. They exist at the top of the alien food chain. They like to eat people. The tenderer, the better. They also will eat other aliens if they're hungry and the mood strikes them. These are very, very cruel and very, very nasty, but supposedly they are the administrators. They are the people running things behind the show. And they have been recently cited, and by recently I'm relatively like the last 20 or 30 years, by numerous people, myself included. And they're not something you'd want to run into in a dark alley. And again, Some of you may remember the old TV miniseries, V, where they have these huge ships, you know, coming down. And what happened? You know, they looked just like us, except they wore these funny red jumpsuits. But ultimately, you discover they were wearing masks. They take off the masks, and they're lizards that like to eat live mice, at least. Now, the big question everybody wants to know is this. Can believers be abducted? Well, in my opinion, the answer would be a qualified yes. Many believers have reported being assaulted in their homes by aliens and repelling them by using the name of Yeshua. By the way, we prefer to use Yeshua just because that's his real Hebrew name. Nobody, when he walked the earth, called him Jesus. The angel that came to Mary did not say, and you shall call his name Jesus. His name is Yahshua, which is neat because it means Yah, which is the name of the Almighty Father, saves. Or Yah is salvation, depending on how you translate it. So it's a wonderful name. We prefer to use that. Anyway, others say they have used the divine name to no effect and were still abducted. And both of these people were solid believers. Now that's interesting. What do you do with that information? Oops. Here's what I think. I think the fact of the matter is it does not have to do anything with the goodliness of the person. Open doors might be an issue in some cases. And by open doors, I don't mean they left their front door open. I mean, those of us that deal in liberation or deliverance type ministries understand that there are certain things that can be like either a sinful lifestyle or maybe even something in the home. Like, you know, for example, we had this one case where a family's daughter was being horribly attacked by demons. Nothing could be done. Pastors, ministers, psychiatrists, nothing worked. We came and the senior guy who was in our group at that time, who really was very, very moving in the gifts of the Spirit, he was led to walk around the room, and he found this lady had a spoon collection. And one of the spoons had a little tiny demon face on it. He threw the spoon out the window, and the kid was instantly set free. That's an example of an open door. You know, where it's relatively benign. It's not like you're deliberately doing something nasty. I mean, nobody would have even thought of that, you know. But yet the Lord pointed in that direction. So that's one possibility. But we must remember that bad stuff can happen to good Christians. They might be robbed, murdered, or persecuted and still be righteous. They can be injured and killed in natural disasters. I'm sure there were some Christians that were killed in Katrina. I'm sure there were, you know, there were Christians that were killed in the tornadoes that hit in Indiana a few days ago. You know, just because we're Christians, that doesn't mean we're bulletproof. So if that's true of natural disasters, why shouldn't it be true of something like this? Remember that these abductions are often a physical phenomenon. Some may be spiritual in nature. They're a deception. But some are undeniably physical. They leave behind marks on the body. The evidence is found in the home. By that I mean there might be scuff marks on a windowsill or an open door or little wet, weird-looking footprints going from the window to the bed. Imagine waking up in the morning and finding out that your entire lower body is wet and full of grass and stuff. You didn't even think you left your bed, and you look down on the floor, and there's these little strange footprints that look like nothing you've ever seen in your life. It would tend to creep you out, don't you think? Also, sometimes implants are found. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. Then finally, third parties sometimes witness the abduction. I was talking to a very solid Baptist preacher I know. He's pastor of a big church, and he said he was out ministering to someone, sick call type thing, and he was driving through this neighborhood where it happened another one of his congregation members lived, and he saw this UFO hovering about 200 feet away from the house, and he actually saw the window open and a body floating out the window, going right up through the air, just that slow, and going into the UFO. And this guy was stone sober. I mean, you know, Baptists aren't into drinking, amen? So, I mean, and this guy is an impeccable reputation. I don't think he'd ever, and then